Hi, welcome to the ProBalancePT podcast. My name is Ada Wells, and I'm the Pilates teacher and physical therapist here. And what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about how we incorporate a cardiovascular workout into some of our Pilates classes and sessions. Now, Pilates in of itself is wonderful for increasing strength, control, posture, balance. But the one thing that it doesn't do as well is being able to really create a cardiovascular effect. I mean, typically after a class, even if you have been doing something where you're going at a faster pace or doing more challenging exercises, you may be tired, but we don't hear that respiratory rate. We don't hear that same effect that you might get if you were out running sprints or out running for a moderate pace somewhere else. So this is kind of our way to incorporate not only the principles of alignment and posture and movement and balance in one little activity, we're also able to layer on that aspect of cardiovascular fitness. So what I wanted to do was just kind of give you a brief demonstration of what this Xiser is. And I know it looks like this cheap mini stepper. This is about a $400 piece of equipment. We've got 6 of them so that we can do them in our classes. And usually what we do is we do 1 minute on the Xiser, and people are, they come off of there, they're breathing pretty hard. And then we will do some gentle, some of our regular exercises in our typical routine. And we'll be doing that for a little while, and then maybe about 10 minutes. And I usually have a minimum of 5-minute rest. I mean, it's typically about a 10 to 15-minute break in between doing sets of these intervals. And we'll come back over here, we'll get everybody together, and we'll bang out another minute. And what we're doing with that is we're really stimulating the anaerobic system. And so when you're on here, it's not so much that you're getting the effect for that minute. It's that when you step off of there and you're breathing hard, your body is recovering for that 5-6 minutes later on. And so that's kind of like if you went running for a moderate pace for about, say, 6 minutes, it's about equivalent to being on here for a minute. So for a lot of people to say, you know what, if you want to go exercise, and run 24, 25 minutes 3 days a week, that may be a little bit more difficult for them to do consistently than saying, hey, can you give me 4 1-minute intervals 3 days a week? Hey, 4 minutes is a lot easier to swallow, and especially you don't end up breaking a sweat when you're doing this because you're giving yourself that opportunity to get the recovery. So let me go ahead and give you just a quick demonstration. And from a postural and balance standpoint, it's really wonderful because a lot of times people, they want to kind of get in here, and you see this at the gym, right? People are holding on, and they got the ribs sheared forward, and you kind of see this little thing happening, and they're going there for about a half hour, and they're not working anything. They're looking good to the person behind them. So anyway, so what I want to do is think about kind of your ribs being stacked right over your pelvis, and then just allowing yourself just to kind of fold from the hip joint. So it's like we're sliding down a wall. And if you can imagine, like I had a tray or a little glass of water in my head, I didn't want to spill that water, so I'm going to stay totally still on the top end. All the movement is happening from down below. Now, I can stay in this little stance here, or what's slightly easier is actually coming at a little bit of a forward bend, okay? But either way, my body is in good alignment. So I'm going to come back up to the original position, and I can layer on top of that a little bit of shoulder work with the towel, okay? And this is great because now I have to think about what's happening at my rib cage whenever my arm goes overhead, okay? So, and I'm increasing, because I'm working with the arms a little bit. I'm going to stop here so I can still talk. When I'm working with the arms, I want to be able to still, you can see how my breath, you're not going to get that short of breath doing most Pilates work, okay? That's why this is a quick little way to demonstrate that. But I'm going to be able to get that extra arm work that will increase my heart rate further. So once again, doing sprint interval training is really, what they're finding in the science now is really superior to doing just sort of your slow and moderate paced, jog that you did before. Sprint interval has a much more effective effect on the cardiovascular system, on your metabolic rate, your overall health. And what's great with this little machine is that it's non-impact. So somebody who has, say, stenosis or some degenerative disc disease in their back, I've got an 80-year-old guy that does this. He stands in his doorway at home. He bought one of these for home, and he's able to do this 3 days a week. And it's great because he doesn't pound his back. He gets a cardiovascular effect, and it's easy, and it doesn't take much time, and he can commit to that. He can commit to 12 minutes a week. So that's the way that we incorporate cardiovascular fitness into the Pilates environment, and hopefully in one of our classes or sessions, you can give it a try, and it really will challenge you, and it's one of those things that makes us go, why don't we all have one of these at home, because it's really a great way to get that workout. Okay, until next time.